I think that this Black Lives thing, sometimes it can be overkill. And from a right-wing point of view, the police have killed more people, white people in America. George Floyd wasn't a good person. It's all been taken out of hand. And the fact that black people want to be treated equally, it's gone way away from that. It's gone now against the police. The looting's come into it, giving it all a bad name. And again, talking to you guys, some of you guys, I can see an improvement in colleges and universities where there was nothing near that in the 60s and 70s. Would you agree? You'd obviously disagree with me, but tell me why. You disagree?
I'll have my piece because I've got to go on
sure.
soon. I disagree with the majority of it.
I expect you to, yeah.
Main reason, obviously, like I was saying down there, I don't get it as much because of my complexion, but my dad being black, having dreadlocks down to his knees and stuff like that. You, for example, have never been stood at a cash machine and have someone look behind you, see you, and go a bit closer, quickly grab the money, put it in the purse or the wallet, and shuffle off. Like, whereas people, whether it's Charlie, whether it's yourself, people of a black complexion and a darker complexion will have that daily.
What you're saying is a stereotype. Straight away, they're going to rob you money.
Yeah, it's inbred. If you go into a bank and you see a 26-year-old, someone like Bam, for example, you see Bam go into the bank and he's got £4,000 in cash in his deposit, you're thinking, oh, I wonder what drugs he's into. You're not thinking he's an entrepreneur. You're not thinking that he's doing something well with his life. You're thinking, what's he done to get that money? You're not thinking along the right... Whereas if you go into the bank with £4,000, people think, oh, he's probably got his own building company or something along the lines. And it's that inbred mentality.
But where does that come from?
That comes from
because there is a lot of drugs being dealt in the black community in northern Manchester.
Black people don't have the money, so where are the drugs and the guns and all this stuff coming from? They're coming from the people who've got the power and the money, which is the white people.
That's right.
They've got the people who then distribute,
who supply the minority.
They distribute that then to the lesser communities where there's lesser education, there's less money, there's less schools, there's less...
So you're saying you're more likely to have a gun, you're more likely to deal in drugs if you're poor?
Yeah.
Right, so what about the poor white people? Why don't they do it?
Of course they do.
They do?
But it's not as blown out of proportion. It's not... You can go to, say, for example, Great Lever. It's a poor place. It's not... there's a lot of people out. But then you go to Moss Side, it's a poor place, but they're not ploughing drugs into Great Lever. They're not ploughing guns into Great Lever. No. The only time you'll hear about it is if it's a black lad or an Asian lad or something along who isn't of what you call the ideal complexion and stuff like that. And it's not highlighted as much in that side.
But in Moss Side you've got the gangs scene and all the rest of it.
Well, not just Moss Side, even there's certain places in Bolton, Castle Street and stuff like that. They never mention other parts of Bolton, like Braithwaite, for example. There's a lot of stuff goes on there, but they'll only mention the Castle Street and the places
I lived in Castle Street,
higher
that's
groups
right.
of ethnicities.
Good point. Not a nice point though.
Yeah, I work in North Manchester, very poor area, until recently exclusively white, and the shootings and stabbings and stuff all the time. It doesn't make the news. I've known a weekend where there's 3 shootings in North Manchester and 1 in Moss Side, and only the one in Moss Side gets on the news. And the rest of them so ingrained that when somebody's on telly and they've done a crime, whatever the crime is, if they're white, you don't think about it. People only notice it when it's somebody of colour that's accused of a crime.
And when you read things in the newspaper, it will say 3 Muslim men or 2 black men.
Right,
they never say 3 Christian men or 3 white men. They only ever raise that if it's in a negative connotation.
Well, I disagree with that as well, you see, because if let's say a white man has raped a little boy or girl, then they put his name and address on and they say he's white and he's from the right wing and all the rest of it. If it's someone from the Islamic faith, which is more often than not, which is undeniable, especially with the rape gangs, they never actually say they're from Pakistan or they're part of the Islamic culture. They don't even say their name. They more often than not say it's some kind of mental disorder. Somebody today had a mental disorder and they were taken away after doing
I don't
blah, 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 blah.
No, that's
And that's what happens.
Where you've got that
I don't know where you got that
That's true,
information.
that.
No, it isn't. No, that isn't true. Do you know, my dad, if anybody who knows me will know that I feel truly blessed because my dad was just the wisest man ever. And my dad used to have this thing about gambling. And he used to say, when he first come to this country, he'd be in the pub and there'd be somebody at the slot machine, and next thing he said, he'd be sitting down and he'd drink and he'd hear and he'd turn around and the slot machine would be all lit up and play this tune, and he'd think, wow, this guy must be winning so much money. And like, you know, they wouldn't realise that this guy's been on that machine for 2 hours, because when he puts that money in, it doesn't make any noise, it just goes. But when it pays out, the lights flash, it plays a tune, everybody in the pub's going, woo! And that's a mad little thing that came into my head with this now, because in the same manner, it's a psychological thing. When a black person does something, it's, oh, the black people have done this, and it's da-da-da-da-da. That's the jukebox making all the noise. When anybody else does it, it's, you don't even realise it, and it's everything is subconscious. When I got into studying after school, because I didn't really wasn't into it when I was at school, but after school when I got into it and I was doing my youth work, and we did a piece on racism, and they were talking about, you know, even when you're a little child and your nursery rhymes and your fairy tales and the big black wolf and Snow White and it's ingrained in you from day one. And that's why I always say my biggest issue with all of it is, if you're going to educate from day one, but educate in a manner that you tell the truth and you tell every story, because I'm sick of hearing about the World War I, the World War II. At least we forget. But what about slavery? What about what happened for 400 years, which is so important? When this country is built on, they've got lions everywhere in this country. You go Buckingham Palace, it's like, there is no lions in this country. There is no lions in this country. And all them jewels that are in Buckingham Palace, where did they come from? Because they never come from Ashley Bridge. So for me, right, if you're going to tell a tale, tell the truth. Tell it all. Because everything, all these black things matter. Everything matters. Everything matters. If you're going to tell a tale, don't tell half the tale and sweep the other half under the carpet, because Britain are not superheroes who saved the world against the Germans. Britain are people just like everybody else.
They were. And the reason we've got all them crown jewels is we were superior at that time. We got the Commonwealth. We went into India, Africa. We overcome the people who weren't as advanced as us at the time. And that was the basis for a good society now.
The only reason.
Have you got views on that? What I've just said. The fact that imperialism, you know, all the in the 18th century, 19th century, where the Brits piled into America, to India.
America.
The Middle East, America, everywhere, basically, Canada.
We do celebrate a lot, but we don't celebrate slavery.
No, but hang on, just step back a bit, because I'm a bit slow.
Yeah.
What I'm saying is that everyone says that was bad, that we went into countries. I'm saying that was good, because we were superior at that time with army and all the rest of it, the technology, and that built a good rock for where we are today. Yeah, it's not our country's fault, it's the other country's fault for letting us do it, if you like, looking at it that way. So everyone sees the bad. But would you agree with that? Would you agree that anything good was about?
That's like saying.
I don't really know, to be honest. I don't really understand.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
That's a brilliant point.
Now I know you've got a point against
That's
this.
a brilliant point. No, George, that was a fantastic point.
Sorry, you.
That's kind of like saying it's the woman's fault for being raped because she's a woman. So you shouldn't have been a woman. If you was a man, it wouldn't have happened.
That's a good point.
That's
a good point.
And secondly, it wasn't because we were superior that we managed to overcome Africa. It's because we had the Gatling gun. Towards the end of the 19th century, Europeans only controlled the coastal areas of Africa, possibly 10% of Africa. 90% are still controlled by Africans. And it was only the invention of the Gatling gun. You can see it in films such as the film they show once a year at Christmas, Cartoon and films like that, where there's mass black resistance to the British, and all of a sudden this gun that can shoot so fast.
Until we went to Rorke's Drift.
That 8 men can take out hundreds and 2,000 men in one go.
Until we met the Zulus.
So it was in a space of 20 odd years where the Africans lost control of the main, the 90% of Africa, and it was down to superior firepower. It wasn't down to superior intelligence, better culture, or anything of the sort. It was pure murder. That's how they took.
When I speak to my son, when I speak to my son, and I say, and I've got, let's get this straight. I've lived in Bolton all of my life. I've got lots of black friends, Asian friends, white friends. And sometimes when I talk to people, and even you yourself, George, and you'll say, "Oh no, it's just like this," and you don't understand, and da da da. So I say, close your eyes for a minute. Just close your eyes and imagine, right? Just close your eyes and imagine. You're at home. You're with your family. You've got 2 girls, 2 boys. You've got a loving wife, right? You've got a decent life you're living, and then before you know it, right, these green aliens, right, kick down your door, right? They take your children, they separate you from where. Now, you've got your guns, you've got the knife, but they've got superior intelligence to you. They're another level. They're at another level of technology than we are. And they take you, and they don't take you to Ashley Bridge or to London. They take you to another planet or whatever, another space. And I said, and they treat you in a manner, right? They treat you in a manner that you've never been treated before. Never. You've never known such suffering. Not just mental, not the fact that you've lost your children, not the fact you've lost your wife, not the fact that you can't go nowhere, do what you want to do, that you can't choose to eat what you want to eat, when you want to eat, you can't work and do jobs that you want to do. You have to do exactly what somebody else tells you. Then you open your eyes and you say, well, that's what it was like to be a slave.
Right, another good point. Now, I'd like to get these 2 young people involved because they've taken the time out to come here, and I've been rambling on like an oldie. So to get you 2 guys going, we talked previously about college, and you have friends who are mixed race, and it's hardly thought anything of. So we want to steer away from what's happening at the minute in a way with Black Lives Matter, because that's getting really confusing. This video's not about that, it's about racism really. But there is something that is changing in the big cities and even small towns, where people are taking down or defacing statues from the days we were talking about before. Yeah, do you think that's a good idea to wipe history of all the bad stuff?
Well, from my point of view, the statues that were being taken down they obviously hurt a lot of people. That was the reasons why slavery was around. So a lot of people took offence to the statues being up. So and obviously it hurt a lot of people's feelings.
You're spot on, because
believe that
some of them were slave owners, weren't they? But they're being glorified as part of what I was saying before, part of the Britain. Well done.
No matter what you do, people are going to get hurt. So there's people that was obviously happy about it, people that were going to be upset about it. But that's just life.
But are you with us on that?
Yeah, 100%.
So what would you say if I said, if you're going to take statues down of slave owners, let's get rid of the statue of Nelson Mandela for being a terrorist, which he was. Let's get rid of the Bible and the Quran, because they condone slavery. They stick up for slavery. So do we burn all the Bibles, all the Qurans? How far do you go?
There is a question of how far you go, but
I don't think they're comparable at all. I think it's two complete separate narratives that people keep trying to bring together. I've heard people try and say, "Oh, we need to tear down the pyramids then because
there you go, yeah,
by slaves," and it's nothing of the sort. I can't even.
Do you think it's just making a stamp and making a statement by knocking a few down, saying, "Look, we're serious about all this"?
I think it's a point of. I think a lot of people raise the question that they're not being taken down in the wrong way, but when Rastafarian people have been protesting in Bristol for years to try and get that same statue removed, and they was ignored, it's a case of people being frustrated.
That's a good point, yeah. It's been in the pipeline, it's been talked about for a long time before this, yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah. So
I don't think people are talking about necessarily disintegrating these statues. There is talk about putting them into museums and stuff, because it is part of our history, whether we like it or not. It is part of our history. But we shouldn't be glorifying it, exactly, and that's the difference.
It's like having a big massive statue now of Jimmy Savile. Yeah, he did what he did, but he still did a lot of charity work as well. It's like saying, well,
OBE and all the rest of it.
I mean, you can't celebrate someone when they've got such a tainted.
Hitler loved dogs, but we can't go around saying Hitler's a great fellow, was he?
Have him as like the
It wasn't a dog's home.
You know what I mean? Like having his face at RSPCA, like cuddling
So I always say things. You've got to cut them in the middle. Let's have some common sense on all playing fields. You know,
common sense, which ironically not very common, but yeah.
I think it all sort of goes back to, in my opinion, education. And for me, it's almost like there's a fear of saying, this is what we...